Hi, good morning, everyone. This is part two of the rare book collection. And so I do have a few of my rare dolls to kind of kick off the rare book collection. So this is my Samantha, and she is a white body Samantha. So to a lot of people, she's a coveted doll. And so therefore, I started referring to her as a coveted doll. But this was the Samantha that I kind of came up with in the 80s. So I do like to refer to her as a coveted doll, but in no way do I treat some of my collectible dolls as if they are in a museum. And that's not to say that for people who do put their dolls on display, that they're doing it in a way where it is like they're in a museum, or like they are coveting the dolls in some strange way. I can totally understand how people who have older dolls that they paid an exorbitant amount of money for want to treat their dolls in a certain kind of way. For me and my family, we do take some of these first edition dolls and interact with them, as far as sometimes we put them on display, sometimes they're play dolls. We change them every season and every holiday. So I don't want to make it seem as if there is something uniquely special about my collection that stands out or stands alone from other people's collections of Pleasant Company. I totally respect what other people are trying to do, but for some reason, I can't see these dolls any other way because I grew up with Pleasant Company and I remember seeing these dolls in the catalogs. And even though I was a girl who had a lot of dolls growing up, I did not always get the doll of my choice, which meant that, um, like how it is now, where you can go online and you can ask your parents or ask someone to order the doll that you want. These dolls were very special at the time in the 1980s, where you had to order them through a catalog and you had to get a grown up to help you with the catalog and with the order. So that made these dolls extremely rare and special. And it was something that had never been done at that time, at that point in time. You would mostly just go to a toy store or a drugstore or Toys R Us, and you would pick out the doll. And that's how it was done. So these dolls were special for another reason. But when I look at these dolls now in my collection, sometimes it's hard to isolate these dolls from my family's other dolls, which are their play dolls. And so even though I tell my family to be extremely gentle with these dolls, it's hard for me to keep these dolls apart sometimes from how my family wants to interact with them when it comes to changing their clothes and playing and things like that. So I'm going to try to do a better job knowing how these dolls are very rare. And when I saw how much these dolls were worth on the secondary market, I almost internally started treating and subconsciously started treating these dolls a little bit more special, and taking better care of some of these dolls. So even though I see these dolls as my childhood dolls, because of how much they're worth, I am now starting to change the way I interact with these dolls, if that makes any kind of sense. So, knowing that, I still go to consignment shops. And when I do go to consignment shops, I purposely look for my childhood in consignment shops. I look for the things that are no longer being sold or readily available. And a lot of times that is the American Girls collection from Pleasant Company. So there's one vendor that I always go to when it comes to secondhand shops. And this person always tends to have Pleasant Company items. And I made the mistake one time of sharing my location of this store with another collector. And now I'm constantly competing with other people to get my hands on these, Pleasant Company secondhand things, items. So I made that mistake one time, and I'm not trying to repeat it. So this collector, or this store owner, knows that I go to the store specifically for American Girl products, and so he gets these things, I think, at a very deep discount. Obviously, because there's like a little bit of paint on here. And so even though this case and the books are first edition and they're in pretty much mint condition, I think any kind of a snag or any kind of, in this case, scuff, kind of takes them out of the running when it comes to this person wanting to sell them for a high price. So I got this for under $30. And I was really happy with that because I had never owned a Keepsake box of just Pleasant Company books. And I have not ever owned any that are first edition. So in the first part of the video, I go through a lot of Molly's illustrations, and as you can see now, I tried to put them in what I think is the correct order for the titles, but I'm not sure because I'm not one of those collectors who is part of an American Girl forum or a Pleasant Company forum. I'm just a typical doll collector who happens to love my childhood dolls. So that is my coveted Samantha with her coveted books. And for anyone who's interested, we have finished the family puzzle because family's a big part of my life. So as you can see, we need to dust and kind of get this area ready for the next puzzle that we're going to do. But a lot of this is from just us dumping out the pieces on the puzzle, pieces of the puzzle onto the table. And so we have finished the James and the Giant Peach puzzle, which was our summer puzzle. And we just love doing puzzles in this family. So our next 500 piece puzzle is this summer puzzle that I got from Ollie's for under $6. And like I said, we're used to doing 1,000-piece puzzles, but I was late this year picking out my puzzles. And so this is kind of like what was left. And I also said that we have a small child in our family who is now starting to do puzzles with us. And he's actually getting really, really good. So we wanted to start slow and do the 500-piece puzzle as opposed to jumping into the 1,000-piece puzzle. So speaking of small children, for those of you who are still in the market for baby cards, baby clothing, reborn things, I'm still very much an Ashton Drake reborn collector. I'm trying to get more reborn dolls. I only have one. But right now I'm looking for just cards for anytime I do get a baby doll as a gift. And I do ask my family for like coveted dolls that are Ashton Drake dolls every now and then. And just like a baby announcement, I realized that a lot of my friends and colleagues are no longer in the market or in that age bracket to have babies anymore, but I'm still coming across a lot of my family members' teachers who are expecting. So if you have anyone who's expecting a baby or a new doll, these are some cards that I got from Home Goods. This is just a Beatrix Potter card that says baby on it. So it's basically a gender neutral card. And this was going to be a theme of one of the nurseries that I was going to create for a new edition. But I ran out of Peter Rabbit stuff at that time, like during that time that we were going to get a new addition to our family. I wanted that theme for the nursery, and then I had to quickly change to the jungle theme because they didn't sell enough Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter things at the time to doll up the nursery, so to speak. So this is a welcome baby card. This is good for a boy because at one point they weren't making a lot of boy baby cards. Welcome baby. And that's good for a boy too because it has like a lot of blues and grays and whites. This is really cute also for a boy, but it could be gender neutral. So it says, here comes baby. And it's cute because who doesn't own a baby bag? When you have a baby, you have baby items that you need to bring with you when you're, just carrying that baby all over town. So it's not good enough just to have a stroller. You need one of those diaper bags, the portable diaper bags. Every baby sometimes needs a pacifier. Of course, they need a little bottle. Whether it's formula or breast milk, they need no longer baby powder because it's got talcum in it, and that's not always good for humans. But, all kinds of things for baby, a stuffy, these are just classic baby stuff that you want to carry with you. So I thought that was kind of cute because sometimes cards don't really show the practicality of what it's like to have a new baby. And this one, my youngest picked out. We have a family friend who owns tons of dachshunds, and they have a preference to dachshunds, but we also have a Mary Ellen doll in our doll family, in my doll collection. So, and even though she's a play doll, because I got her secondhand, and we just, at the time, she was a surprise purchase. I found her for like around $25 without her meat outfit. So of course I was going to get Mary Ellen. And I loved her book. So she has a dachshund. So if I don't find use for this card, I'm definitely going to display this card with a Mary Ellen doll. All right, so that's kind of what is up with my little shopping haul when it comes to home goods. We have our summer puzzle completed, getting ready to start on puzzle number 2. So now back to the dolls. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you guys is not only did I have the first edition Keepsake book set, I have The People Could Fly. This is a hardcover version. I told you guys I would find it eventually. And because I have the new dog Claudie, she references this book in her second book, or the author does. And so I wanted to show you guys what the real version of The People Can Fly actually looks like. And if you love folk tales and you love culture, any kind of cultural, any kind of education or educational thing that involves learning about a culture other than your own, you would probably love this book. Like for me, I look for books like this in the Spanish culture, because I want to know more about Spanish culture. When I go out to places like New Mexico and like I've ever been, I would love to go to New Mexico and Santa Fe. I would love to go to places that have that rich history of Spanish life and immerse myself in that, in the art, in the food, in the people. So, of course, I'm going to do that for my own culture when it comes to Black folk tales, African American folk tales, because I think Addie's story and my family's story is so rich. So obviously, speaking of Addie, I have the first edition Addie. She's still in her birthday outfit, which a lot of these dolls are. So forgive that. This summer, I just didn't do a whole lot with my dolls, unfortunately. So doing these videos sometimes is one of those things where it's an afterthought, but I feel like I'm still committed to wanting to do these videos. So that's my first edition Addie, but this is not a first edition book collection for Addie, if that makes sense. And so this is my other doll, Josefina. I love these keepsake boxes because I can decorate them any way I want. And when I say that this is a first edition Josefina, this is a first edition Josefina. She is a classic one where she has the number 1 on her. Let me see if I can get a little closer to her neck stamp. She has the number 1 right here in a circle. So when I say she is a first edition Josefina, I am true to my word. She is a first edition Josefina. And Josefina has this book collection. And that is her series of books right there. So that's what I have for my collection, guys. I am so excited to be sharing this with you guys, just because a lot of times when you go into consignment shops, it's hard to always find Pleasant Company things. But if you stay diligent and you stay connected, you can sometimes find a vendor who will really let you know anytime they get any kind of Pleasant Company item in, and they'll give you first dibs. Like, that's how I ended up getting this Keepsake box of first edition books. And when I say first edition books, again, in part 1, I let you guys know how it's the first 3 books of each collection, of each doll's collection. And when I say each doll, I mean the first run dolls for Pleasant Company when it comes to my Kirsten, Molly, and Samantha. And so she's got like a little blemish right there. So I think I got her for such a steal because she wasn't like a perfect white body doll. And a lot of times people who collect Samanthas, they're looking for a perfect doll. And a lot of times in my collection, I just looked for my childhood dolls. These dolls are pretty much images of my childhood Pleasant Company dolls. And when I say that, I mean that I went to school with girls who would bring in their Pleasant Company dolls for show and tell. I would have play dates with kids in my 1st and 2nd grade class, and they would have these types of dolls in their collection. And so I would open up catalogs, and these were the dolls that I would see in the catalog. So I don't purposely try to collect collectible Pleasant Company dolls. A lot of times I just happen to get them. Like someone knew that I loved Pleasant Company, so they asked me if I wanted this doll that they found in a consignment shop, and I said yes. She just happened to be a first edition Josefina, but I didn't learn that until I had had her for like a good year before someone mentioned it. And they said to look on the back of her neck and see if she has a 1 with a circle, because they happened to notice that she had certain features, and all I wanted was a Josefina doll at the time. So I really kind of feel like sometimes you do luck out when you go to secondhand shops and people know that you collect, because they just want to get rid of the doll most of the time. Like this doll, she had that blemish, and I guess the collector or the person who was selling her in the consignment shop, yeah, I got her secondhand. They were just trying to get rid of her. And I got her for like, I think $100, but that could have included shipping, because I really feel like she was under $100, but with shipping, she was like between 120, 100 and 120. And this doll right here, my dad and I found. So again, that's how it works, guys. If you can get your hands on some of these books, a lot of times people are just trying to get rid of them. They don't really realize that what they're trying to get rid of is like a highly coveted item for a lot of collectors. So again, that was the case when I purchased this item right here. So that's it, guys. That's my collection. And so I will bring you another video hopefully soon.